Okay, and welcome to Clinical Trader. And we're going to take a look at the heat map here for today, the 17th of November, 2022. We can see here that we had a lot of green on the screen today. The basic materials was down 1.15%, and energy copped it today being down 2%. And it's interesting that basic materials were down, because it does focus on metals and mining, and yet the XGD was up today, which bucked the trend. All right, so why was energy down? And it's worth taking a look at the price of crude oil here, and we can see, zooming in, that crude oil struggled to get above its 200-day moving average, and that's been a real battle for it. Yeah, so it's hit up against it a couple of times and not been able to continue on, and it's sort of rolled over a little bit. So you would actually think that that would be fairly bullish for energy stocks. But nevertheless, they were down 2% today, and that might just be that there was a correction in energy. We might take a look at that. We'll go to the ASX sectors and have a quick look at energy. Which one was energy? Utilities, industrials, financial, resources, energy. Okay, yeah, so down 2%. I should have just looked at that. Well, it has been on a bit of a run here, so it's not surprising that it's got a bit of a pullback. It has pulled back to touch these previous highs here, and it's almost down to this one here. We may actually get down there and find support before moving up. So that might explain why energy was down today. But nevertheless, we'll take a quick look at the performance of the ASX equities this year. So 1st of January, just going to adjust this so we see the biggest losers for the year, and EML payments in there. City Chick Collective, never heard of that one. Novonix hasn't done well. PointsBet, not done well. I'm looking for a theme here. Megaport, there's a gold miner here at St. Barbara. Imugene, IMU, Magellan Financial, and there's a few others all the way down through there. There's Ramelius Resources, another goalie, and even Bega Cheese is down there too, hasn't performed so well. Evolution Mining, another goalie. So you can see that the gold miners haven't done well this year. Silver Lake is there as well, and so that really has cost. And if we look at some of those numbers, you can see Silver Lake, I've lost it here, where is it? Silver Lake, I just had it. Where'd it go? So anyway, look, in the range of, sort of that 20-30%. Evolution Mining, 37%. What else do we have here? Ramelius Resources down 47% year to date. So it's been smashed. And St. Barbara, probably the worst performing gold miner, down 60%. So it's been tough. It's been tough for gold miners. We'll take a look at the chart here. And looking at gold, this is the weekly chart. You can see up here that W that tells us that what sort of time frame we're looking here. And if you look at the start of the year, so 2022 basically kicked off right in this zone in here. And it wasn't ideal, let's just say that. So where are we here? We've got, where was that? That was right here, basically. You can see it right there. So that's been the trajectory, been down all the way down here. And it's been a tough gig for gold miners. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so since that time we've had a bit of a rally too. Don't get me wrong. We came all the way up to highs in April, and we've had this sell-off take place since on the weekly time frame. Things changed when we got this hammer candle down the bottom here. This wick that came all the way down, tested new lows. The market didn't like it, and it bounced back up. Just make that bigger so we can see. Bounced back up, and this really was the turning point, and that was the week of 26th of September. And you can see that big turnaround from that low down here up to the high up here, in the space of really 2 weeks, probably a week and a half. So that was a good trading opportunity. But hard to pick that occurring. And it's since sort of bubbled around in this zone. I referred to that as the fuck around zone because nothing's really happening. And then last week we had this major move in the metals to come higher. Broke above the previous high here. Just mark that in. So this high here. And you can see that we came up above it and we're coming back down off this, I think it's the 50-day moving average. Or maybe it's the 100. I'd have to check. Anyway, let's look at the daily. Don't like to keep these videos too long. So here's that blowout low down here that we saw in September. And the recovery was pretty swift, and we got a nice little run out of that before it corrected. We got a higher low, and then once we broke out here, that gave us the signal that in fact we were likely going higher from this point forward once we got over there. It's kind of a head and shoulders pattern in here. So there's your shoulder, there's your head, inverted I should say. So inverted shoulder, inverted head, and inverted shoulder. Sort of played out a little bit, got a bit suspended, but then it took that breakout and off it went. And actually, I really was expecting that we probably would get to this previous high and then begin to roll over, but it hasn't happened, or it didn't happen. Instead, we broke out through that 200-day moving average, and in the last few days, we've just had it sort of pull away and sell off a little bit. Now, we don't have any volume on the gold index for Australia, so we can't sort of see what the volume was doing in here. We could take a look at Newcrest Mining, which is the biggest share in the index, which gives us a pretty good idea about what's actually happening overall. But look, now we've come back down to this support line, and we hit that. We actually did break through it a little bit, but we've bounced back today to be up 1.06%. And look, it's likely that this will offer support and that we could go for a bit of a rally here. So for that to happen, we're going to need to see gold go higher. And hopefully overnight we'll see that sort of play out. Gold has also sort of performed a similar move, because what I was thinking was that we would create this shoulder down, this inverted shoulder here, the head through here, come up here, and then create. I actually thought that we'd come all the way back down here. If I get this, get the path indicator here, I thought we might come back down, strike this support line through here, and then maybe go higher, perhaps up to these old highs up here. Might be something that we might expect. So it could still play out. The head and shoulders might be that they don't have to be parallel. They can be on an angle. So we could get it something like this, you know, where that's the neckline, like so. So that would be the shoulder. Just get rid of this. So that would be the shoulder down through here. This would be the head, and the shoulder would come through and then break through higher. Notice that it could also time with this this line of support here, which stretches back a long way in time, and also the neckline of the inverted head and shoulders pattern. So that is something that we might expect as well that could take place, but we've got to keep an eye on it. It's looking a bit oversold on the indicator, so the chance of a pullback here is on. You know, that we could come all the way back down through here. If it did, great opportunity to purchase. But you'd be looking for other evidence, not just that it got there. Might be, for example, that gold has a pullback as well. And we are seeing the early stages of that pullback. Could be short term. I'm hoping it'll be short term, and then we head higher. So that's what I'm expecting on the Australian All Ordinaries Gold Index. And we look forward to it. Now, we'll take a quick look just to see that volume, what's happening through here. I'm hoping to see that the volume in this section is a bit sort of lower than in the rise. Okay, so I'll just put in Newcrest Mining. We'll take a quick look at that. Yeah, and that's indeed the case. So we've got higher volumes through here and here in these highs on the way up. And since then, the volumes decrease. So that's actually a surprisingly bullish. And we'd like to see the volume remain low on the way down. And this could be quite a shallow descent down to the moving averages we saw in the other chart on the XGD, but from there I expect we'd turn around, and you can see that sort of level of support in volume down here. I'll just put that in another. So this might be something like Newcrest could indeed make something like this sort of pattern. You can see we've got this. It was support, broke down, becomes resistance, can't get through it, finally breaks through. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we come back down, maybe even close this gap before we eventually turn around, head higher for Newcrest Mining. That is the plan. Anyway, enough from me. Thanks.